Hello everyone. For today's video, we're going to be cooking a dish, and that dish is going to be a pork stew. So we have our pork here. You can barely see it. Let me bring it closer. Pork. We have bacon. We have sage leaves, some creme fraiche, which I made myself, some chicken broth, garlic, and an onion, plus like salt and pepper and stuff like that. Now, if you want to see this recipe done right, I got it off of the YouTube channel Food Wishes, and he does an awesome job of cooking awesome food. And I'll put a link down below in the description. So it's not that many ingredients, and it looked absolutely delicious. I'm making this for our office Christmas party, so that's why I've doubled the recipe. So the first thing we need to do is prep our onion and our garlic and our sage. As you can see, I've already cut the bacon and the pork. So I'm going to set those off to the side. As well as chicken broth and the creme fraiche. And the sage. And we'll start to work here with the onion. Okay, so I changed my mind a little bit. I'm going to use this plastic mat instead of that glass one because I think the sound will be better. The sound of a knife on the glass is not all that great. So the original portion of the recipe called for 1 small white onion, so since I'm doubling it, I figured 1 medium-sized one would be good. I'm not going to really tell this is a strong onion. Whew. Okay, I think we're just, well, I think we'll take 1 more layer off. It's definitely juicy. Okay. There's our onion. And we're going to let that calm down just a little bit. We're going to do our garlic. Now the original portion was 2 cloves of garlic, so we are going to get 4 cloves of garlic. I love the papery texture of the, there's 1 massive one, 2, 3, and we'll do this one here, 4. heard you're supposed to run this underwater to help with the fumes getting in your eyes. So I'm going to go over here off camera for just a second, take you with me, and we're going to rinse this off. I don't know how much this actually helps, but it certainly couldn't hurt. Okay, we're back. Get a paper towel here. Pat this down. Okay. Now let's chop this up and put this in this bowl right here. Again, I know my chopping technique is not professional. So I hope I'm not scaring you too much. This is just roughly chopped, not finely chopped at all. Well, that washing it off seemed to help a little bit. It's not as bad as I thought it would be so far. Which is good. It's always embarrassing to cry on YouTube. At least for me. Okay. Let's get my eyes a little bit now, but not much. Okay, so there's our onion. I don't know that we use all of that, but we'll use a good bit of it. Wipe my hands off here a little bit. And now we'll move on to the garlic. Now, to do that, first you want to smash the garlic to release the skin. Makes it much easier to peel. Just like that. Okay. I don't know if we smashed this one enough. There we go. Okay. I always cut the ends off. I don't know if that's proper. We certainly have enough garlic, so I don't think we have to worry about if we lose a little bit. And I'm just going to slice these up because they're going to get cooked down into the stew. The office I work in, we have a Christmas party every year. Everybody brings food that they've made or bought. I'll put this in here. And I believe that is a major prep that we need to do for our ingredients. Well, no, one more. We have some sage we need to cut up, chop down. And that smells good. Sage is really awesome. Okay. Now, we don't want the stems, we just want the leaves. Need 4 tablespoons. So like I was saying, I usually try to fix something really neat. I like cooking for people. I just hope this turns out good. This sage is smelling wonderful. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. Okay. I'm going to give these a quick wash. So I'm going to take you back over to the sink. Off camera here. I'm not scrubbing or anything, I'm just letting the water run over them. Okay. Get a paper towel here. And we'll just pat them dry. That should do well. Okay. Now some of these leaves he had fried up at the very end. I don't know that I'm going to do that, because I think if I fry them beforehand, they're not going to stay crispy. So let me do that as a separate step, because I'm also going to do rice. But I'm going to do that closer to the actual event. I'm making this about 2 days ahead of time. I think that'll help the flavors blend together really well. Okay. Does that look like 4 tablespoons? Maybe not. Do a little bit more. No, you don't want to get too strong with this. It could seriously overpower the dish. Okay. I think that's good. The next step is to move over to the stove and start cooking our bacon. So I'll see you there. Okay, so here we are at the stove. And I'm going to make it in this pot because I'm doubling the recipe. I want to make sure I have plenty of room for all of the food. So I'm bringing this to a medium heat. And then I'm going to put some oil. Now the recipe called for olive oil, but all I have is grapeseed oil. And it calls for 2 tablespoons. I'm going to put a little more in there. Close that up. And we're going to put our bacon in. Basically what this is going to do is fry up and get all of the fat out of the bacon and into the olive, or the grapeseed oil in this case. Now, since I was just handling meat, I want to wash my hands. Sorry, I can't bring the camera over to the sink. Each time I need to wash my hands. At least you can listen to the sounds. Okay, so this is starting to fry a little bit. I said to cook it for about 5 or 6 minutes. So I'm just going to let that get nice and crispy. And while that is doing its thing, I'm going to salt and pepper the pork. So let's get the pork out here. We may have to do this in 2 batches, maybe not. You can hear the bacon doing its thing over there. Okay. Spread this out a little bit. I'm going to hold the salt and pepper shaker. Sorry about that. put plenty of pepper on here, and we'll put plenty of salt. So you want this to coat all the sides. Okay. Now, ground out some salt here. I hope you can hear me over the bacon sizzling. Okay. That should be good. Now we're just going to make sure that all of these pieces are completely coated in salt, pepper. Okay, good. Now we'll transfer them back into the bowl here. Okay. And we will wash our hands again. I didn't anticipate making this many trips to the sink. Okay. We are done with this chopping board since we cut meat up on it. We did all of our vegetables first. So that's good. Reduces the risk of contamination. So now let's go back to our cooking bacon, which you can hear sizzling very nicely. Okay. I think I can make a whole video of just sizzling bacon. I think that by itself would be good ASMR. So it's starting to get a little brown, but we need to leave it in there a little longer. any recipe that starts with frying bacon is on its way to being awesome. If I get hot grease on me, I'll try not to yell. It's just a nice gentle simmer sizzle now. Probably didn't have to use that little extra oil. Okay, we're just about done, it looks like. We're going to transfer it to a clean bowl. So we're not using the same bowl that had the raw bacon in it. It's a lot of oil. I'll make sure I get it all out so it doesn't just sit there and burn. No, you don't have black little charred pieces of bacon in your food. Okay. Sorry about that. So that will go back in a little bit. So now we turn the heat up to medium-high. And we put in our pork. Okay. So the goal for this is to brown the meat really, really well on all sides. So we're going to let that simmer and cook and brown, and then we'll turn the pieces. And we're going to have to do this in 2 batches. So I need to get a plate here. This is becoming a very noisy video, isn't it? It smells delicious. Okay, so we've cooked our meat and we've reduced the heat back down, and we're going to add some onions now. Add onions and add salt. And we want to cook these until they are translucent. So we'll let those simmer for a while. Then we will add our garlic next. And then we start adding all the fun stuff, like this broth in the creme fraiche. These onions look gorgeous, don't they? My grease looks a little darker than it did in the video that Chef John did on the Food Wishes. I hope that's okay. I hope that doesn't mean I burnt something too much. I'm sure if he's watching this, I doubt he is, but if he ever did, I don't think he would get ASMR because he would be cringing too much. The hardest thing for me is to be patient. Let the food cook to the right consistency. Okay. I guess those are kind of translucent. So the next thing we put in is our garlic. And we'll stir this in. Continue to cook it. For about another minute. I think I should have chopped some of this garlic up a little bit more. Some really big pieces. Some giant garlic. It's called modifying as you go. That garlic really adds a lot. All of a sudden, the flavor just got, with the smell. I would not want to taste this right now. Way too hot. Okay, so now we add in our chicken broth. A little over 2 cups is what we want. Clean up my mess here if you can see that. If not, I'll just edit it out. And the next thing we want is our creme fraiche. I'm checking my recipe here. 1 cup of creme fraiche. Creme fraiche is a combination of heavy whipping cream and buttermilk. Mostly heavy whipping cream. And you let it sit out for a day. You let all of the cultures from the buttermilk permeate into the heavy whipping cream. And if I read correctly online, the reason that you use it in cooking is because it does not curdle. Okay, so there is a cup. And that is going to add a nice creamy texture. To this dish. Okay. Now, I'm going to turn the heat up again. Let that dissolve. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so now that's going to come up to temperature. We are going to add our bacon in. And we are going to add in our sage. I really hope that doesn't overpower. I think I'll just use that much. So now we'll bring that up to a simmer. Then we will add our pork in. So now let's add in our pork. And reduce the heat down. Come on. And what we're doing now is basically going to cook this pork until it's really, really tender. Put our juices in. Don't want to lose those. Okay. Now, I'm going to reduce the heat to low. Let that come back up to just a little bit of a simmer. And then we will cover it, and we will let it cook for a while. I have to check on the exact time. Okay, so now we got a simmer going. Cover it, and I will see you all back here in just a little bit. So here is the nearly finished product. It has been simmering for an hour, and now the next step is to uncover it and to continue cooking it until it thickens up a bit. And I can tell that a lot of the fat and grease has come to the top. So I'm going to try to pull some of this off so it isn't quite as heavy with the oil and the grease. Sure, there's probably a better way to do this. It works for now. So once I pull a lot of this grease out of here, I'm going to check the meat to make sure it's tender. Those are the two. Having the meat tender and the sauce thickened are the two important steps. Trying to get just the grease, not the sauce, is kind of difficult. I want to give a huge thank you to the Food Wishes YouTube channel for showing how to make this stew. It smells absolutely incredible. Cannot wait to taste it. And I'm making it a day early so that it can sit and all these nice flavors can meld together. So I'm going to mix it here a little bit. You can see it's already reduced a little bit. I'm going to turn up the heat just a little bit to get that kind of simmering a little harder. Pushing with the spoon to kind of test the meat. It still needs a little bit of cooking, and that's great. It's perfect. So I think I'm going to end this video here because basically it's done. It just needs to simmer and cook for a little bit longer. So thank you for watching. And again, thank you to the Food Wishes channel. I will put a link to this recipe and you can see how a professional does it, and it looks not quite so chaotic as mine. And please subscribe. And thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video.